Good morning. You're watching the morning edition of Fast Up with me, Amita Vadva. Now, the government and the opposition Congress are locked in a high-voltage face-off over the National Herald issue. Now, the two of the biggest voices in the government and the Congress have now had a face-off here on India Today. First, it was former Finance Minister P Chidambaram who hurled a vendetta salvo against the government. Later in the day, rebuttal came from Finance Minister Arun Jaitley, who termed the entire matter between the complainant and the accused and the courts.
The judgment, of course, will have to be challenged appropriately, and I'm sure the lawyers will do that. But what is the case? There is a company called Associated Journals Limited. It owns property. It has a modest income. It has 761 shareholders or so. The company owns the property and the income. Now, all that has been done is a new shareholder has been introduced, who is now the 99% shareholder. But that shareholder is not a private person. That shareholder is a non-profit company under Section 25 of the Companies Act, which means we have put a lock on AJL. Nobody can benefit from the properties of AJL. Nobody can benefit from the income of AJL. Not 1 rupee can be transferred to anyone. Not 1 rupee can be distributed to anyone. What has been done is to ensure that nobody benefits from the properties or income of AJL.
Let me raise the two questions though that emerge from the transaction itself. Question number one, the Congress party agrees to pay or give an interest-free loan to AJL, which according to Subramaniam Swamy in the first place is a violation of the Representation of People's Act.
Section?
A.
Which section?
B.
Which section?
You
must know the section.
He says Income Tax Act and Representation of People's Act, A, violation. B. When the transaction is, after that, you have a situation where this loan is transferred to Young India Company. And Young India Company, for the payment of 50 lakhs only, acquires assets worth 2,000 crores. Now, is
that's a mistake.
That's the question.
I'll answer it.
Because it seemed like a sweetheart deal.
You've asked your question.
Yes,
wait for the answer.
Yes.
A loan of 90 crores was given over a period of time to run National Herald. National Herald was not a success in the last years. It lost money. The 90 crore is outstanding on the books of AJL.
Yes.
That loan stands in the name of the Congress party. It is assigned to a non-profit company, underline, a non-profit company called Young Indian.
With Rahul and Sonia Gandhi as the prime shareholders along with other Congress leaders.
Makes no difference. It's a non-profit company. It doesn't matter who the shareholders are, who the directors are. Please look at Section 25. It's a non-profit company.
It cannot take any benefit from the properties and assets.
Not 1 rupee. Not 1 rupee can be received.
Then why doesn't it put its balance sheet in the public domain and respond to what you're saying?
I have to answer your first question completely before I move on to the next question. So 90 crore loan is assigned to a non-profit company. The non-profit company now is a lender to AJL. That loan is converted to an equity. So you've got 90 crore worth of equity. You become the major shareholder of AJL. But please remember, the major shareholder is a non-profit company, which means you put a lock. Not 1 rupee can be received, not 1 rupee can be distributed. All I can point out is there is no deal as you imply, and much less a sweetheart deal. On the contrary, what has happened is we have secured the property and income of AJL.
Therefore, if you believe this is such a strong case and the High Court judgment is flawed, the right approach would have been go back to the Metropolitan Magistrate who summoned you, appear before it, give a point-by-point rebuttal, treat this purely as a legal matter rather than imputing political motives and blocking Parliament and thereby effectively suggesting that even the judiciary is working under the instructions of the political executive.
Let me answer that. Nobody has made that suggestion.
Of course it is made,
Just a moment. You must allow me to complete an answer. Your questions are longer than the answer.
Go ahead.
They will go back to the court. Mrs. Gandhi and Mr. Rahul Gandhi have made it clear they will appear before the court on December 19. They are very competent lawyers. They will answer that. The point is, why does it come to Parliament? It came to Parliament, as I said in my answer to your first question, because the BJP did not remain neutral on this. The BJP government reopened an Enforcement Directorate inquiry after sacking the Director of Enforcement or transferring him. And I have a number of statements with me. The glee on the faces of the BJP leaders, the glee in their voices, the statements they have made, that triggers suspicion. If the BJP was completely indifferent to that case, the BJP should have said, we have nothing to do with it. We have not asked the ED to do anything. None of our agencies is investigating anything. In fact, I have a statement here which said about a year ago, ED is not investigating the matter. And now we have ED investigating the matter. What is the ED investigating? Why did the ED reopen the inquiry under the BJP government? There's no answer to that so far. Why was the previous ED transferred abruptly overnight, and why was the inquiry open?
When you say motives, are you saying that you believe that this government wants to put the Gandhis in jail? That Subramaniam Swamy and this government want to put the Gandhis in jail, and the court will just stand by, and ultimately it's a matter of law. It's not a matter of politics.
Let me tell you, there's nothing that the Gandhis have done which can help the government achieve, if that is its motive. I don't know. You are telling me. I don't want to put words.
Subramaniam Swamy in an interview yesterday told me this, that he believes that this is a fit case where the Gandhi should be put in jail.
I am not talking about any private complainant. I don't want to take any names. All I'm saying is statements emanating from BJP leaders, including ministers, reinforces the suspicion that there is a motive. It's for the government to explain.
And the ED is operating under the finance minister's instruction.
I can't make any accusation. All I'm placing before you is facts. It's for your viewers to draw the conclusion. There is an ED inquiry. It's closed. A private complainant writes a letter. The ED is sacked. The inquiry is reopened. What does that mean?
Mr. Chidambaram says, when I asked him specifically, what is the evidence that you have that there could be political vendetta or intimidation, says that why was the case which was closed reopened? It was reopened on a private complaint filed by Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, and that the Enforcement Directorate, which was in charge of the case, the officer was changed. This is what is his argument. Your response?
Absolutely incorrect. Not one out of these three facts is correct. The Enforcement Director was a Secretary Government of India holding a dual charge. Obviously, he couldn't attend to two offices, and therefore somebody had to substitute full-time. Till date, as I speak to you, either before or later, the Enforcement Directorate has passed no order. The Enforcement Directorate has issued not even a simple letter or a show cause notice to the Congress party or its leaders. Either the erstwhile officer or the new officer has not proceeded in the matter. And therefore, for the Congress to presume that there was a transfer and something has happened, when the ED has so far not done anything, how can the Congress party say that the ED is indulging in political propaganda or political vendetta? Now let's come to the complaint. The ED has not done anything. The Congress party, through a web of financial transactions, created a Chakravyu for itself. Got land allotted for newspaper in various parts of the country, there is no newspaper. Congress party collected funds for a political purpose, gave a loan to a newspaper company, and assigned the loan to a property company. The property company took over the properties effectively.
Mr. Chidambaram says it's a non-profit Section 25 company, and therefore the funds are locked in.
That is a very poor defense. I can't collect monies for the BJP, get a tax exemption that it has to be spent for a political purpose, and start running an orphanage. The moment I do it, I'll be guilty of law. Don't you remember the BCCI got a tax exemption for running cricket in India? They donated some part of the money to the Football Federation to promote football, and they lost their exemption. Money which is taken for an exempted purpose can only be used for an exempted purpose and for no other purpose. Today, monies collected for a political purpose are being used by a property company. The party has lost that money. Monies properties which were acquired for a newspaper are vested in a property company controlled by a set of individuals who've been charged by Dr. Swami in that case. And therefore, I am not saying they are guilty. All I am saying is there is a private complaint not filed now, not filed in 2015, filed in 2012 by Dr. Swami. The trial court prima facie finds a case and summons the accused. The accused challenged it in the High Court. The High Court has affirmed the trial court order. The Congress leadership has two alternatives. Either go to the Supreme Court or go before the magistrate and face the trial. It's a legal issue which they have to legally fight out. The ED has not taken any punitive action. The income tax so far has not taken any punitive action. They will proceed as per law, whatever rights that they have. The government has not passed any order. The government is not a party to this dispute.
The government has not interfered at any stage in
The government
on the basis of the complaint that Dr. Swami filed. At no stage.
The government has no role in it whatsoever. It's a private complaint. Any citizen can put the process of law into motion. Dr. Swami, as a private citizen, public-spirited citizen, has put the process of law into motion. The court has taken cognizance and summoned them. They have challenged it at the High Court. They took their chance. They've lost. They can take a further chance. They can go before the trial court. But why paralyze Parliament? Parliament, supposing we meet in Parliament, that can the government do anything in this case? Obviously, the government can do nothing in this case.
You're saying why paralyze Parliament? The opposition, Mr. Chidambaram, but particularly the Congress party says because they believe it's part of a wider campaign of political intimidation going on against them, whether it's a Veerbhadra Singh, Chief Minister of Himachal.
I said so on another channel and I repeat it on your channel. Let us here and now, today or tomorrow, let's have a debate on each of the cases they are mentioning. I don't want to express a final opinion on the cases you are mentioning because some of the departments I look after in some capacity may be looking at it. But I can tell you these cases are stinking. How do you pay 50 lakhs and become an owner of a 2,000 crore property? Are you not liable to pay income tax? And if there is a financial transaction by which a criminal law provision is violated, a citizen is entitled to go to court. You are entitled to your remedies under the law. How does a citizen in Himachal Pradesh open a bank account and just deposit crores of rupees in that bank account in cash and convert it into private property? How is the house in which the Chief Minister is living shown as rented to a private company and he gets rent every month? You look at those cases and there's a hell of a lot which has to be answered.
And you're ready for an open debate like there was a debate on intolerance? You're challenging the Congress for a debate on vendetta?
Let it be identically worded as the debate on Mrs. Vasundhara Raje and Mrs. Swaraj. We agreed to that debate. The language was theirs. Let us just substitute those names and let's have a debate tomorrow in Parliament.